are going through, and then what his sister is going through, and his close friends. So it's all these different perspectives that come into this one story surrounding him, and it's a beautiful kind of moving picture that you guys should all check out. I think I don't take the time to watch family films like this enough, I think. So yeah, this one was definitely fun and moving, and it's got a lot of pop culture references that I really love. So yeah, check out.
What made you
watch
check this out? Yeah.
Just because my work, I kind of walked by it and I was like, oh, this looks really interesting, you know. And I'd heard of that it got all these great, like, really good reviews. And, it was had a positive review on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was based on this series of books. So I was like, oh, you know, like, let me check this out. And yeah, sure enough, I watched it, and it's completely, like, relatable to anybody who's been, you know, like, bullied in school or had any kind of bad experiences in that. And so, yeah, I wanted to give it a shout out. You should be able to find it anywhere.
It's out on
or
Blu-ray and DVD.
Or stream it, iTunes, what have you. My next one is a Netflix original that I just watched the other night called The Ritual.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but that thing looks gnarly.
Oh, it is. I don't know. You want to talk about a movie that doesn't let you down? This is that movie. Okay. For all you horror fans out there, this is a great piece of work. It's I forget the director's name. He did VHS, the Succubus episode. Okay. Or not episode, but segment. And then he did the Siren standalone film. But yeah, this movie is kind of like Sweden's answer.
David Bruckner.
There we go. Yeah, he did this film from 2007 called The Signal that I really love, from Magnet Entertainment. And thank you for that, Sid. Yeah. I should have known that, because I actually really love this guy's work. But it's, yeah, like I was saying before, it's Sweden's answer to Blair Witch.
And I think you said it's better.
It makes the original. Well, I still love the new Blair Witch from a few years ago.
We did the episode on it.
Yeah. But this film makes, like, the original Blair Witch look like trash.
Yeah.
Like boring, uneventful nonsense, man. This is what that movie should have been. Now, of course, Ritual isn't found footage, which I think it plays a lot better, because you get, like, it almost feels like you know, like Revenant in the way that they shot it. It's very natural lighting. The things that they encounter, it's just very spooky. They don't know, you know, they kind of get lost in this forest in Sweden, and then of course most of us haven't been to Sweden, so you're completely disoriented in that way. And then there, you know, and then a monster comes, you know, comes into the picture, and you're just like, we're fucked.
And they start, I mean, in the trailer at least, it shows them, like, hallucinating or something like that, or having nightmares.
Yes, because the push off from the film is one of it's about a group of dudes, these best friends, right? And I think they're from London or something, and one of them or two of them they stop in one night, and they're like, oh, we're gonna go get something to drink, right? Or like some alcohol. And they go into this liquor store, and there's this how do you say, altercation. They walk into a robbery. Okay. And the main guy, our protagonist, he hides around the corner, and he kind of leaves his friend out in the open. And these two come from the back, and they're like, oh, give me all your shit or whatever. And they end up killing his friend. Okay. And when he could have prevented it. Yeah, he could have prevented it potentially. And so that haunts him throughout the entire film.
Okay.
So he kind of still sees that So he kind of still sees that while he's in this other like scenario fighting for his life. That whole scene still plays a part throughout the movie, and that's where the hallucinations come from. But without killing anything else, The Ritual on Netflix, highly recommend it.
Oh yeah,
check it out. And that'll move us into our TMNT.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now for the movie focus of the week.
Oh yeah, so we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Do you want to talk a little bit about where they come from?
Yeah.
Alright, so I wrote a little thing up.
Nice.
Alright, so Mirage Studios started out as two guys in their living room. In the early 80s, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird drew up the first Ninja Turtle as nothing more than a funny joke. Although they eventually realized that there was a story to be told and developed the universe largely inspired by Frank Miller's Ronin and Daredevil.
Nice.
So, in the first issue of Daredevil, little Matt Murdock is struck and blinded by a radioactive isotope. Kevin and Peter wrote the Turtles' origins the same way, which was, what if that same truck also hit a young man while he was transferring his turtles? So the TSRI canister in the turtles fell down into a sewer where a young rat later stumbled upon them. The rest is history. Splinter's name was actually inspired by Stick, who was a ninja master in Daredevil, for anybody who knows that mythology. Daredevil's arch nemesis at the time was the hand, which is why the Turtles' enemies were the foot.
Nice. Oh man, that's cool.
Shredder's armor was inspired by a cheese grater. Actually, I guess there was this cheese grater lying around, and Kevin was like, "Oh, that could be like a crazy weapon if it was put into the wrong hands."
Yeah, well, that's cool.
So in the original comics, the Turtles were actually identical. They wore the same color band.
Okay.
And the only way to tell them apart were their weapons. And we know this, but we'll say it anyway for anybody who maybe isn't that big of a fan. So the katanas were for Leo, nunchucks for Mikey, bow staff for Donatello, and the sais for Raphael.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about, man?
I don't know. How do you want to jump into this?
Well, do you want to go like by like the year that everything came out?
Yeah, we can do that.
Come out? Okay, so next up we have the other than the comics that started like mid 80s, obviously. We have the actual cartoon series debuted in 1987, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
So what are your memories on that, or how do you feel about the original cartoons?
I enjoyed the original. I remember watching it only a few times as a kid, because I was born in the 90s, and then I was born in 90. So by the time I could probably remember what I was watching on TV, it was probably at the end of its reruns or whenever it was on TV. I do remember little glimpses of it. I don't remember what channel I was watching it on, but that was my first introduction of the Ninja Turtles. I believe was the cartoon, and my grandmother actually knitted a pillowcase, and it had the all the Ninja Turtles on it. And
do you still have that?
It's somewhere. I looked for it maybe like 2-3 years ago, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm hoping it's in like in the garage or something, or in some box. But I had that for a long time, and it's just she made it obviously because I guess I was a fan of the Ninja Turtles when I was like before I could remember anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I stand with the cartoon, and it's the Turtles from the cartoon, and Yeah, I enjoyed it. As much as I can remember, I enjoyed it. But, I mean, how about you?
All right, so I was born in 89. Mm-hmm. So, of course, the comics were before both of our times, technically. But the funny thing is, when they started this comic, as far as I know, it was never intended for younger audiences. Mm-hmm. That's something that came later when they I think they realized, hey, we could really make something iconic here. Yeah. So then that's when the TVs, they wanted to make toys, mm-hmm. and I think Playmates, the people who put out the toys, they didn't really have anything really going for them. So they were like, well, before we can do the toys, we need something substantial to back it. Yeah. So then they created the cartoon. Yeah. And they changed, everybody had their colors to identify with and kind of develop those personalities mm-hmm. that have kind of stuck with us until now. Our life, into contemporary times. But to answer your question, I love the show. I remember watching it, throughout my childhood, mm-hmm. Wherever, when they show like the reruns or wherever it have been. Yeah, I watched most of the seasons I can remember. When I was younger, and I had all the toys. That's one thing that my mom did right for me is she got. I had like everything. Nice. When I see toys now, like on eBay or Instagram, what have you, just like, oh, I had this, I had that. Yeah. It's so weird to be like, wow, I can't believe I had all this stuff. I had no idea how cool it was then. You know what I mean? But yeah, I thought the cartoon was awesome. If you watch it now, because they've released all of them on the seasons, and you go back, there's so much like weird kind of adult humor too, mm-hmm. and kind of nods to all this other pop culture stuff that you don't get as a kid. So it's fun to watch and see what they had done with it then. And it's just weird to me that it started so like in the 80s. A cartoon like that, it's so I feel like that was such a huge kind of jump in logic, like that they thought people would maybe buy into this, because this could have been a huge flop, because when you think about the premise, it seems so ridiculous, mm-hmm. but it's been so ingrained into our brains since we were children. It's not weird to us, you know what I mean? But to someone else, to someone who was born in 99, are probably like, what the fuck?
Doesn't make sense.
Why do I care about Ninja Turtles? You know what I mean?
No,
it's pretty interesting, man. But yeah, I think that was a great kind of, how do you say, adaptation off of the comic book page and into our lives as a motion picture.
Yeah, and that was a pretty smart way to do that, to build up the fan base around these turtles. Was to, that I feel like that's the reason why they wanted to, before they could make toys, they need a fan base for these toys. Mm-hmm. So create the show and then get all these kids addicted to the Ninja Turtles and loving them and watching them every day. Mm-hmm. And then you release these toys, and then bugging their parents about, oh, I want these toys, and parents giving in and giving their kids whatever the toys and everything, and that's the way business works, And
marketing,
and that's where a lot of movies and shows make their money from, is toys and action figures and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think it's pretty smart.
Or just memorabilia, even clothes, what have you, everything. But so that's 87, and then we move into the first feature film, the live action film. Dropped in 90.
Yes.
So what do you think about that?
Oh man, that one holds a that one holds a special place in my heart. That movie, just because it's something I vividly remember owning this on VHS. I still have the VHS for it, and I watched it over and over. I think I got it for Christmas or something, and I remember the sleeve that the VHS came in. It was a white sleeve, and it had I think it was white. I'm not sure, but I have the everything. It's in my room somewhere. But it's an awesome movie. I think the way they did Casey Jones and all the turtles. I mean, just the way they did the suits and everything was awesome, and how it's